Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to slim down and shape up. My name is Ben Greenfield, and I'm the Get Fit Guy. In the episode, How to Recover After a Workout, you learn that excessive soreness is generally an indication that you either increased volume or intensity far too quickly in your exercise routine, or that you didn't recover properly. But there's another reason that you can be sore after a workout, or simply sore as you move about your day-to-day routine, even if you haven't exercised recently. And today, you'll find out what that reason is, and you'll also learn the top 6 sore muscle remedies that will help you recover faster after a workout. We've all felt it at one time or another, that deep, achy spot on some muscle of your body, which we affectionately call a knot. No matter how much you stretch, how well you warm up or cool down, or how many pills you pop and healthy foods you eat, that knot simply won't go away. And for many people, knots tend to form in the upper neck or shoulders, and for others, the calves or the quadriceps tend to be the issue. The muscle knots are simply areas where your connective tissue or muscle has spasmed or cramped, and in some cases, it can also be an area where you formed immobile scar tissue from an injury or even from overworking a specific muscle group. These areas of painful, rigid tissue that form in your muscles, tendons, and ligaments block circulation and can cause pain, inflammation, and limited mobility. Regardless of how the knot got there in the first place, the important thing to know is that it's not going to go away on its own. And what's more, if you simply ignore it, the knot can often make your post-workout soreness and discomfort even worse. This is where something called deep tissue work comes in. And deep tissue work is simply an umbrella term for any type of stimulation that works deep into your muscles and connective tissue. When your body has chronic tightness and tension or an area with a history of injury or overuse, you get the muscle knots you just learned about. Deep tissue work is simply the act of physically breaking down those knots, usually with direct deep pressure or some kind of a friction applied across the grain of your muscles. At the same time these knots are broken down by deep tissue work, blood flow to the affected area is enhanced, and voila, your soreness subsides. When it comes to deep tissue work, different strokes work for different folks, quite literally. But the following list that I'm about to give you are some of the more effective methods for increasing your mobility or reversing pain and injury. And these are the top 6 ways that you can get rid of soreness. Option 1, rolfing. And compared to other deep tissue methods, rolfing, aptly named after some unlucky gal by the last name of Rolf, focuses almost exclusively on the connective tissue sheath that surrounds your muscles, called your fascia. During a typical rolfing session, you lie down and get guided through specific movements during an initial structural integration session. Your rolfer then manipulates your fascia over a course of 10 60 to 90-minute sessions. Now, I question whether the 10 sessions are more of a business model than a therapeutic necessity, but regardless, if fascial adhesions are your problem, then rolfing is a great solution. Option number 2 is called Advanced Muscle Integrative Technique. And by the way, as I'm going through all of these, I'll be sure and put links to the official website for each in the show notes over at quickanddirtytips.com. Now, Advanced Muscle Integrative Technique, also abbreviated AMIT, is something I first talked about in a podcast I recorded called Dr. Two Fingers Reveals His Teeth-Gritting Body Healing Secrets. In that podcast, I interviewed Dr. Craig Bueller, the guy who invented AMIT. Now, AMIT is based around the fact that every tissue in your body is saturated with what are called proprioceptors, which monitor and control every aspect of your body's function. And this complex system of receptors monitors things like tension, pressure, movement, stretch, temperature, energy fields, and compression in a muscle area. So if you get injured or you have a high amount of inflammation in a certain area, these receptors become protective and they shut off function or mobility in that area. Interestingly, sometimes a lack of mobility in an area is due to a muscle near that area being injured, like a quadriceps injury resulting in a lack of mobility in your hamstring or soreness in the back of your leg. Now, AMIT is based on restoring proprioception by applying deep pressure on specific proprioceptive areas of your body. And as I alluded to in the title of the aforementioned podcast, it is a bit uncomfortable, but it's also highly efficacious if lack of mobility or soreness is due to a previously injured area. Now, deep tissue option number 3 is called muscle activation technique, or MAT. And MAT is based on the same concept as what I just got done talking about, AMIT. But rather than improving mobility or decreasing soreness via pressure or kneading, MAT begins with a series of range of motion testing, followed by specific exercises to address any deficient areas. For example, if after a long time riding a bike, you find that your neck and your head get stuck in a forward position, a MAT therapist might then fix that by having you perform a special kind of contraction with your head backwards to try and bring you back to center, so to speak. Option number 4 is called Graston. And Graston employs a collection of 6 specially shaped stainless steel tools to palpate your muscles and your tendons. Although they do look like something out of a medieval torture chamber, the curved edge of Graston instruments allow them to mold to different contours around your body, making for ease of treatment and minimal stress to the therapist's hands, along with maximum tissue penetration. Graston also comes in quite handy if you're trying to break down scar tissue from an injury or get rid of those knots from muscle overuse. Although getting your IT bands quote-unquote scraped by a Graston therapist may sound painful, I've had many of my clients get a nearly instant cure from Graston. Option number 5 is called trigger point therapy. Trigger points are hyper-irritable spots in your muscles that you can usually feel to be tight, taut, or hard, aka the knots we talked about earlier. Trigger point therapy is based around the idea that pain frequently radiates from these points of tenderness to broader areas, sometimes distant from the trigger point itself, such as a knot in the underside of your armpit, referring pain to the front of your shoulder. Now, by applying pressure to these knots, you can release the pain and restore mobility while reducing soreness. And there's actually a trigger point therapy store where you can get instructions along with special shaped rollers and other devices for doing your own trigger point therapy. I'll be sure and link to that in the show notes at quickanddirtytips.com. Option number 6 is sports massage. Now, in another podcast episode that I'll link to called How Quantum Physics Can Heal Your Body and Enhance Performance, I interviewed my favorite deep tissue sports massage therapist on the face of the planet, a guy named Dr. Herb Akers from Sacramento, California. And Herb runs this website called Rules of the Matrix, and he calls his special flavor of deep tissue work quantum connective healing. Now, this technique, which is basically a specialized form of sports massage, combines nutrition therapies, special breathing, and deep tissue massage to restore mobility or eliminate injuries. Now, deep tissue massage is designed to relieve severe tension in a muscle and connective tissue, and unlike Swedish massage or some kind of relaxing massage therapy, it focuses on the muscles located below the surface of the top muscles. So pressure is applied to both the superficial and the deep layers of muscle, fascia, and other connective tissue structures. And these sessions are way more intense than just about any other form of massage you've ever experienced. I usually cry like a baby when Herb works on me. But despite the come-to-Jesus moments you'll experience during deep tissue massage, it is very effective at restoring mobility and reducing soreness, even though you might initially be sore for the first couple of days after you get it done. So those are my top 6 sore muscle, knot, and reduced mobility remedies. But here's the best part about deep tissue work. If you don't have the time or money to hunt down any of the remedies I mentioned just now, but you have a willingness to learn and the self-motivation to put yourself through a little discomfort, you can do much of this yourself. For example, I personally used to get in my car and drive to a massage therapist every single week until I learned how to do my own therapy with a golf ball, a hard, rigid foam roller with which I have a love-hate relationship. It's called a rumble roller, a series of lacrosse balls strung together called a myo rope, and a rolling pin-like device called a muscle track. I keep all this stuff in my office closet, and after a tough day's workout, any of them can be very effective at reducing muscle knots and improving some of those soreness symptoms. Ultimately, the 6 sore muscle remedies, or simply working on your muscle knots yourself, can make you feel like a new person, whether your body is beat up from a single workout or from years of exercise, or perhaps just from an injury that you've sustained in the past. Now, if you have more questions about these sore muscle remedies, then you can join the conversation over at facebook.com/getfitguy. And over there at facebook.com/getfitguy, you can get access to a ton of other really cool things, such as my book, The Get Fit Guy's Guide to Achieving Your Ideal Body, as well as the current 12-week program that I'm doing along with fellow Quick and Dirty Tips podcaster Mighty Mommy called The Belly Burner Project. Hop in and get access to any of those over at facebook.com/getfitguy. And until next time, I'm Ben Greenfield, the Get Fit Guy, asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit.